In this guide, we will walk through Google Classroom, your all-in-one platform for organized classwork, communicating with students, and managing assignments. To access Google Classroom, you can use your Google app Waffle and select Classroom, or you can search classroom.google.com and it will take you to this screen. If you've not logged in, make sure you log in using your district account. To create a class, you will select the plus sign in the upper hand corner and you'll hit Create Class. For naming your classroom, you can do it by subject area. If you have multiple periods, you can create classes for each of those individual periods, but you can assign a name, a section, you can also assign a subject, and you can even put your room number in your class description. You'll see whenever I start to type in subject, it gives me multiple content areas that I can choose from. You can either do a professional development, art history, AP World, world history, global history. You can even type in your science curriculum. Or if you're just doing a general professional development, you can select that as well. The room number, like I said, you can assign that to your particular room, or you can even just put your name, and then you'll select Create. When you enter your classroom, it will take you to your stream. You use the Stream tab to post announcements or updates. Students can also comment if you allow it in the settings, and you can keep general communication organized here. The next tab we're going to look at is Classwork. When you click this tab, this is where you can post assignments, question, materials, or topics. You can use topics to organize units or weekly lessons. You can also attach files from Drive, YouTube, or from your computer. Let's go ahead and create an assignment. To create an assignment, you'll select this plus Creates button here. You can choose a general assignment, a quiz assignment. You can post an open-ended question. You can link material, or you can reuse a post from one of your other classes. This is great if you teach one subject but multiple periods and each class has its own classroom. You can reuse the post from an earlier class that you've created, so you're not having to copy and paste all of your work over and over again. You can also create a topic, as we discussed earlier. This is great if you want to organize all your information by units or by topic. You select Add, and now underneath this topic, I can then create assignments, quizzes, questions, add in material, anything that I need for that particular topic. So let's look at assigning a quiz. You'll select Quiz Assignment. You'll title your quiz. You can add any instructions or guidelines that you would like here. You'll see it automatically created a Google form for you. In your modules, we talked about how you can create Google Forms. So this would be where you add in the information and all the different questions that you need into your Google form. This also allows you to import the grades, where once your Google form has been graded, it will show the students on their Google Classroom what grade they made. This also allows you to lock that mode on Chromebooks, as we discussed in our Google Forms section. If you want to upload any information as well as for this particular quiz, you can add in information from Drive, you can add in a YouTube video, It also allows you to create videos, forms, drawings, sheets, slides, and docs from your Google assignment. This is on all different types of questions or materials for your Google Classroom. You can also create practice sets, or you can upload or link materials. When you're completed with your assignment, you'll notice on the right-hand side, it allows you to kind of set some grading categories. You can even create a rubric for your quiz. It also allows, if you do an open-ended question, to check for plagiarism, which is great whenever you're doing research papers. You can set a grading period as well, and you can assign a certain number of points for your particular assignment. You'll see also that you can assign a due date for your assignments. This is great to make sure your students are staying on top of their work. You can extend this if you need to, but it's good to go ahead and put that in so students know what the expectations are. You can then also link under specific topics. So if I had created a unit on World War II in Texas, and I had that topic listed underneath here, I could create my quiz and then link it to that particular topic. When you're finished, you'll hit Assign, and it will take you back to your classwork section. You'll notice, because I linked this quiz to this particular topic, that it is now linked underneath that unit. When you're ready to grade your quizzes, if you go into your classwork section and you do View Instructions, it allows you to see, again, your actual assignment, but then you can toggle over to Student Work. This will allow you to close off that you're still accepting submissions. It will link all your students and have access to all of their submissions. One of the neat features of Google Classroom is if you had to regrade any of these quizzes, you're allowed to import the grades from the updated materials, so it would change your grade in Classroom. It will ask you, are you sure you want to import grades from the quiz that you created? And that importing grades will override the current grades in Classroom. You can then hit import and it will update those grades. Another neat feature of Google Classroom is whenever you are working with student work, you also have the option to email selected students if you want to give them feedback on their assignment. This is great for real-time feedback so students can update their work accordingly or know how to improve in the future. Google Classroom is also really useful for getting announcements out to your students. If you want them to know that you're going to be out that day and that you have linked their lesson into Google Classroom, you can type that announcement here. You can also embed a Google Drive file, add a YouTube video, upload any information that they may need. You can also link to any websites that they need to access for that day. You can state that you want it to go to all your students, or you can assign to individual students. You can also select all your classes if you need this to go to multiple classrooms. You'll write out your announcement here. And when you're ready to post, you can either do an immediate post or you can schedule your post. So if you know you're going to be out on a Monday and you're going ahead and putting this in over the weekend, you can schedule this to be assigned that following Monday whenever you are out. You can also set the time so that it releases at each scheduled time of that period, where students aren't getting access to it when they are not in your classroom. Ready, you'll just hit schedule, and you can see up here that it says saved announcements. If you decide, oh, I don't want to, or I realized I typed that in wrong and I need to delete that, you can delete your scheduled announcement until it is posted. One of the great things about Google Classroom is it works within all other Google applications. So if you want to use just this one program to access all your other Google applications, you can. If you go to Classwork and you're creating another material, let's say, and I know I've already created a handout that I want my students to be able to access, I can name that handout. I can provide a description or other information that I need them to know or what I want them to do with this handout. I can then go into Drive if I already have created it, or I can do Create, and I can go to Google Docs, Google Slides, Sheets, Drawings, Forms, or Videos, and I can create from scratch any kind of document that I need my students to be able to access. So for example, if I need to create a document, say I'm creating a template for them to create a timeline or an interactive worksheet, I'll select Docs, and you'll see here that it is creating a document for me. I can then utilize any aspect of Google Docs and I can create a template for these students. Make sure you name it as well. And when you go back to your classroom, you'll see that that document has been linked. I can then go in and I can assign it to all of my classes. I can also assign it just to specific students if this is a review for a certain group of your class that's struggling with a particular unit. And again, I can link this underneath a certain topic. When I'm ready to post, I can schedule it, I can save it as a draft, I can go ahead and immediately post, or I can completely discard this and start from scratch. For the purposes of this training, I'm going to go ahead and post this assignment. You'll then see that it is now labeled underneath that topic for classwork. And you'll see that it has linked that Google Doc. I can select it and it will open that document for my students to see. Also, if you go back to Stream, you'll see that it has also posted here where the students can see that I have created a new post. With the Google Stream, it works very similar to like most social medias where the newest will be up at the top and it will go down from there. So on the Stream page, it will always be the most current assignment or post. Now I have my classroom set up. I'm ready for my students. How do I get them logged in? The easiest way is for you to take your class code and project it on your screen whenever you're signing your students up for your classroom. You can expand it to be bigger where the students can see. You can also copy this invite link and you can email this out to your students as well. But this is probably the most effective ways to project it that first time they're using it in your classroom. Get them all logged in, show them how their Google Classroom works, and then they are in there for the rest of the year. If for any reason a student gets kicked out of the class for any reason, or a new student moves in, you'll always be able to access this class code to log them into your Google Classroom. That class code just lives here on the left-hand side of your Google Classroom. Another feature you can see is right here where it says upcoming. If you have assigned a Google form or a quiz or any kind of assignment and you've put a due date on that assignment, it will list out here where the students can easily see that they have, quiz 1 coming up here in the next few days that's due. You need to make sure that they're getting it done, so it helps with accountability of your students and setting those high expectations of completion. The final feature I'm going to show you with Google Classroom is the Customize feature. We always want to create something fun for our students to see and make it inviting. So this is where you get to just kind of bring a little bit of flair to your Google Classroom. You'll select Customize. You can just stick with just a color theme for your classroom. You can also upload a photo into your Google Classroom header if you have one related to your class, or you can select a photo from Google's library of images. They have ones related to topics. They have just kind of a general category. So you can make this fun and engaging and fit the style of your classroom. For Google Classroom, you also have the option of updating some of your general settings for your classes. If you select settings down here in the bottom left-hand corner, it allows you to change whether you allow comments on your post. You can allow people to mention you in your comments. You can allow private comments on the work that you've submitted or you've created for your classroom. Specifically for teachers, the classes that you teach, you can also look at adding late submissions for student work, whether you're going to allow that or not. You can also determine whether you're going to allow for resubmissions. You can allow for invitations to co-teach classes, and you can schedule, post-publish, or fail these elements just to customize your classroom for what works best for you. From here, you can also go to class notifications, and if you do not want to get notified on certain classes, you can toggle that over and you will stop receiving notifications on that particular class. You can always turn that back on if you decide later you need to have those settings back on. If you want to change the settings for your particular class that you've created, over in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a little gear. You'll select this. You can change the name, add a class description, change your section. You can also manage your invite codes. Right now it's turned on, but you can turn it off, or you can reset the invite codes. You can access the invite link that you can post on your classroom or in a newsletter. You can also display that class code that you've been utilizing to log students in. This is where you can edit your stream and your classwork. You can then determine whether students can post or comment. You can allow them to only comment, or only the teacher can post and comment. You can also set grading periods and grading scales, creating draft grades for missing assignments here as well. You can allow for grade calculation. Right now there's no overall grade, but you can update it to total points or weighted by category. And you can add grade categories. So this is great if your district is on, let's say, an 80-20 scale where 80% of their overall grade comes from daily assignments and 20% comes from test. You can add those categories in here, and then you'll be able to weight it by that particular category. When you do add in grade categories, you can change that overall grade calculation to be weighted by category, and it now allows the students to be able to access their overall grade. You can toggle that over. You'll see down here I've created grade categories. My test grades, this is going to be 20% of their overall grade. There's a remaining 80. I can add a category that is called daily assignments, and I can make this for the 80%. You'll need to check with your district on what their grading policy is for daily versus examinations. Make sure that if you change any settings to your classroom, that you save that feature so that it does not delete whenever you move out of it. So we just set up our grade categories under our settings. If you remember from earlier when we were creating assignments, it had that option of setting a grade category. So we're going to go back to our classwork, and I'm going to select that quiz that we were working on earlier, select the 3 drop down, and select edit. I can then go over to that right hand side, and you'll now see the grade category. I can assign it as a test grade or a daily grade depending on what I'm needing to set that assignment for. I can still set the number of points if I want it on like a 100-point grading scale, but now whenever it's calculating my student's overall grade, it will weight this according to that 80-20 split like I was discussing. Again, double check with your district on what their grading policy is on weighted percentages so that you follow those guidelines. After you finish up this, make sure you hit save, and now it will be updated for your students. If you have any questions about Google Classroom, please reach out to our curriculum team, either Alyssa or myself, Rebecca, and we would be happy to help you set up your classroom.